Hi everyone. Welcome to the Friday morning group. And I'm so happy to have you with us this morning. And before we get started, Lisa Natoli is in the house today. And thank you for joining us on live streaming. Just a couple of announcements for this week. Of course, you guys know that the 40-day program is evergreen. You can get in at any time. And if you're in the Facebook group, you can join us on the live coaching call, which is tomorrow between 10 and 12, because you're going to need the link. You're going to need the registration link for the, it's a 2-hour webcast. And Lisa and myself and Linda Leland and Judy Morton will be your host on that webcast. It's a coaching call, and we're going to answer your questions that you might have. And you can ask questions live in the room, but we also have a bunch of you that have sent in questions. We're going to answer those questions for you for that coaching call. So that's happening. And then next week, Lisa and I are going to be traveling. We're going to be in Portland. She's going to be doing, what's his name? Joe Dispenza. She's going to see Joe Dispenza, and I'm doing the iRest meditation class in Beaverton, Oregon. And so we'll be gone, but Kelly Russell will be in the house. And we love Kelly's, she just is such a great presenter, and her content is always helpful, and we look forward to having you be presenting for us next week. And what else am I missing? Am I missing anything on announcements that you can think of? I can't think of anything. Arthur Gay is in the house. And he what?
He's got a new study group he started.
Oh, and Arthur has a new study group that he started. Where is that study group?
Duxbury. It's going to start. Hi, Duxbury, Mass. And it's going to start on the 31st at 7:15 to 8:30. And
Is there an address?
One Bay Road. And watch for the announcement, because I think we have to move already because we have too many commitments for the size of the room. So it may be moved by first of next week, but I'll let you know if it is.
Okay. So we'll also add Arthur's study group to our list that goes out by email, and you can just tell us what that address is, and that way people know where to go with it. And so what we'll do now, and you guys that are joining us live, if you would like to be on that coaching call tomorrow, it's so fun. It's interactive. You'll have a great time. Just go in the Facebook group and find the link for the live coaching call, and you can join us for 2 hours on Saturday. We'd love to have you with us. And in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and say hello to each other and have our time of greeting this morning, and we'll be right back with Lisa Natoli. Okay, we're going to have a seat now. Everyone, we're going to have a seat, please. So this is definitely a summer Friday, and we're happy to be here, and happy for all of you to join us. And we're happy that Lisa's back in the house again. And I want to welcome everyone here this morning. If you were late coming in, and please give a warm welcome to Lisa Natoli, who's back in the house. Oh, a reading. I'm sorry. The reader is here. We're going to do the gratitude reading. Sorry.
You want me to do the reading and then you forget.
Good. Okay. Here you go.
We're going to do a couple of things. Hello. We're going to read from the gratitude book first because I just really like this little sentence and something to think about. For July 21st. That's today, right?
Yeah.
Mirrors should reflect a little before throwing back images. So let's think on that for today. It's the thought for the day, right?
Oh, that's a good one.
I thought so. Okay. And I was kind of asked to read this. This came up this week. We're doing the book study, Miracles at Work, with Emily Bennington and Lisa Natoli. And this came up with, was just awesome. And it's a prayer on your blue book, page 28. We think on the CE edition it's 191.
No, 193.
193 on the CE edition. And it's, it came up this week because it said, anyone who is pushing my buttons or irritating me, this is the prayer to say. If you're anxious and stuff, you're thinking about what's going on in the future. We talked about this on the call. You're thinking about, I got to pay my bill, I got to go to the doctor, my kid needs to go to camp, blah, blah, blah. You're in the future. You're not in the present. And this prayer said many times during the day, little meditation will help you bring you back to the present. So most people know this. If you want to say it with me, you can. I'm saying it right directly out of the book. And this brings us back to the present. I'm here only to be truly helpful. I'm here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because he who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing he goes there with me. I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. Amen. And that's in text 2, verse 18, 2 through 6 sentences. Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. So, do we have your mic on? Let's turn your mic on. Just a word on that. That's one of my favorite verses to remember, and I forget to remember it. But it is. I kept it for a couple of years, but one of the things you have to remember is you really have to do what Becky said to start with. You have to reflect. You have to pause, and don't let that just be a mental thing, because it won't connect with the surrender of who you are. You won't connect to the true meaning and experience of the prayer. So everyone, please give a warm welcome to Lisa Natoli.
Good morning. Good morning. You always look like you're 5 years old. So today I want to talk about lesson 135, and it's about defenses. When I defend myself, I'm attacked. And often we think that a defense is something that we do when someone says something that is incorrect, and we defend it. But that's not how A Course in Miracles talks about defense. Defense is the wall that you made as a false self, and mostly it got built as a child, and it's there to protect yourself, it's there to get love, and it literally becomes the self that you think is you. And the true self that you are, the state of being of eternal, changeless, the joy that you are, the love that you are, the light that you are, gets totally buried. But the light never dies. It's always there. And so we have these moments in our life where we have that memory. It's that feeling of joy. It just comes out. And then the wall. And then we go right back into the defenses. And so I want to read, I'm going to see if I can get through the whole lesson. It's the longest workbook lesson in A Course in Miracles, so I may not get through the whole thing. It's lesson 135. And I've been writing a lot of notes. You guys who know me, you know that I have a morning routine. I get up in the morning, I get my coffee, I get back into bed, and I spend 1 to 2 hours reading, writing, just totally just abiding in the presence of God. And I've been writing a lot of notes lately about defenses and how it relates to healing. So for me as a teacher, I really love results. Love seeing results. I don't just want to stay in the conceptual level and think about these ideas. I want to know that these are laws that we live by. And the only way that you can know it's a law is if you actually take it and apply it. You become like a scientist and you say, oh, that's an interesting idea. And then you have to apply it. And so often we don't take it to that level because of the defenses. So I want us to today think about, it's gonna be very practical this morning, and welcome live streamers. I'm so happy that you're here. As I want us to think about all the ways you betray yourself. And I want you to think about the ways that you hide. I want you to find your hiding places. And for me, it's an interesting thing to use the body to try to find out where you're hiding. And I'm going to read from A Course in Miracles, where it's a recognition that you must make a decision to identify with the light that you are. No longer identifying with the body, because the body is the defense. So you can use the body, the Holy Spirit's going to use the body, but you can begin to see, even in the way you walk, the way you hold yourself, you know, we talk like this, or this. Or we do these things that we're not even conscious of to hold ourselves in hiding and the slouching. You're protecting your heart, you know, the way we, and you start to just, maybe as a beginning point, to say, okay, I'm going to become conscious of the way I hold myself. Now, that's not the absolute truth, but that's going to make you become conscious now instead of unconscious. So I'm going to just start to read. I'm going to go to my notes. This is lesson 135. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Who would defend himself unless he thought he was attacked, that the attack was real, and that his own defense could save himself? And herein lies the folly of defense. It gives illusions full reality and then attempts to handle them as real. It adds illusions to illusions, thus making correction doubly difficult. And here's what Jesus tells us is defense. And it is this you do when you attempt to, 1, plan the future, 2, activate the past, 3, organize the present as you wish. These are defenses. So this is a complete opposite of the way we think of defenses here in this world. The defenses are attempt to plan the future, activate the past, and organize the present as you wish. Now, let's look at this logically. What does that mean? Why is that a defense? Because it means that you're acting by yourself. You're not trusting. There's not a present trust in the light that you are. So I gave this talk 2 weeks ago at Unity of Cape Cod. Thank you for showing up. And it was called Lead with Love. And I had this revelation, this thought, right before the talk, that God is the light within. I suddenly had a totally new reference for God. I realized that He and the Holy Spirit and Christ and God is the light within. And so this is why Jesus said, it is not I, but the Father that doeth the work. It is not I, but the light that does the work. And so what Jesus was really working with Helen Schuckman and Bill Thetford with was collaboration. That those two needed to collaborate with each other, and it's a further collaboration of we're learning to collaborate with the light that we are. We're learning to work with this light, identify it, acknowledge it, say hello to it. Like, this light has been there, and when you start to acknowledge it, and you recognize that this light is a presence, it is a power, it is life itself. This light knows what to do. And it's the light that A Course in Miracles calls the healer. Jesus calls it the healer with a capital H. It's the light that does the healing. So anyone who does healing work knows this. Any therapist knows this, a true healer, a true therapist. Because you know that you're just like a vessel, and you become one with the light, one with the Father. I and the Father are one. I now am the light. So this will bust up all your defenses, because now you wouldn't even dream of planning the future. Someone said to me yesterday on Facebook, "What are you teaching?" I'm like, yeah, I do. And you know, always we're told halfway midweek, give us the topic for Friday so we can put it in an email and people can come. And I just make up something every Wednesday. I'm like, okay, I don't know, and okay, defenses. I'll talk about defenses, but I don't know. Like, I just throw that out, and then for me, the way I handle it is I think, okay, I'll just touch on it, and that way, at least, like, when people come, they'll get what they came for. But you have to really be willing to throw away every plan that you have about everything so that the light now is leading. And so it says, you operate from the belief you must protect yourself from what is happening because it must contain what threatens you. A sense of threat is an acknowledgement of an inherent weakness, a belief that there is danger, which has power to call on you to make appropriate defense. The world is based on this insane belief. All of its structures, all of its thoughts and doubts, its penalties and heavy armaments, its legal definitions and its codes, its ethics and its leaders and its gods, all serve but to preserve its sense of threat, for no one walks the world in armature, but must have terror striking at his heart. So the armature is the false self that you made. And it says, I'm just going to skip down here to, I just don't think I'm going to finish this. It's a very long lesson. It's lesson 135. Let us consider first what you defend. It must be something that is very weak and easily assaulted. It must be something made easy prey, unable to protect itself and needing your defense. What but the body has such frailty that constant care and watchful deep concern are needful to protect its little life? What but the body falters and must fail to serve the Son of God as worthy host? So I want you to really, when you think about the body, I want you to always think of, when you think of the body, your image. To me, that's what this talks about. You're protecting your image. You're not just protecting the body, you're protecting your self-image. And it says, yet it is not the body that can fear, nor to be a thing to fear. It has no needs but those which you assign to it. It needs no complicated structures or defense, no health-inducing medicine, no care, and no concern at all. Who believes that? One hand, two hands, three hands, four hands, five. Becky. Yeah, right? And, you know, it's been interesting for me. You guys who know me for a while, you know, like I've had eye issues, just like sort of body issues that have been going on. And I have been so taking 100% responsibility to use it. To not just try to go, okay, like I'm just gonna try to heal it, although I did that. Like I literally tried to heal the body. And then I tried to heal the mind to heal the body. And it doesn't work. It just does not work. And so finally, it's a place where this has to be all or nothing. Like it has to be either the Course in Miracles is true entirely or not at all. And certain things would come to me. For example, it is impossible to see two worlds. And what has been interesting for me to watch through all of this kind of the body doing its thing and seeming to fail me, and the pain that I had experienced, when I shift my perspective and I literally remember the light, the pain goes away. The whole thing goes away. And I have watched it. I have seen it. I have seen symptoms just disappear. And yet that's not the goal. Like the goal is to just keep coming back to the place where you are remembering the self that you are. I talked to someone on the phone yesterday, and her husband just lost his job a couple weeks ago, and unexpected. And she said for the first 24 hours, he came home and said, oh, I lost my job today. And for the first 24 hours, and immediately she said, oh, okay, well, and they both have a very solid foundation in A Course in Miracles. They have deep trust in God. They're living these principles. And so for the first 24 hours, she was like, oh, okay, yep, we're good. They're trusting in God. And then she said, 24 hours later, an old health issue, which she thought had been resolved, was back on the scene again. The worst pain she's ever been in her life, excruciating. And then the fear of, oh my God, what are we going to do for money? And so you see, like when you make a commitment that you're going to live in this way, you can expect that anything that's buried in you is going to surface to be seen and looked at and healed and released. And she said after that, it was 2 weeks of layer upon layer upon layer of old stuff that she thought she dealt with. Like she just thought, oh, that's all done with. And that's what we're here for. Like this is what it means to be here for the salvation of the world, is that we're allowing every situation to be used to see what still is buried there and where still you are depending on yourself to provide for yourself, to care for the body. And to me, it really just becomes a clearing. You know, I also recently had a situation with someone where I was promised them that I was going to be there with them, and then I had to cancel. Like, just that's what happens. But this is what happened in our childhood, right? This is our whole childhood. People promise to be there for us, and then they cancel. So I had this situation, and I was going to be with this woman, and then my plans changed, and I canceled with her. And I canceled by text. And she said, okay. And then I just had a thought, call her. And this is what the present confidence is, like that talks about in this lesson, in the listening. You're listening what to do next. And I thought, call her. So I called her, and I said, I'm really sorry that I won't be there. And she started crying. And she said, I don't know why I'm crying. I said, that's good. Because the armature that we have is that we're not supposed to cry. We're supposed to be, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm good. And I said, what is going on? What do you feel? Just tell me what you feel. Don't try to like make up a story. She said, I feel sad. And then she really started crying. And I said, good. She's like, good. And she said, I was so excited to see you, and I'm sad that I won't see you. And I just was there with her. To me, this is healing. To me, that was a total release and clearing. Because see, as children, we are supposed to say, I'm fine, I'm good. When we used to cry and say, I'm sad, we would be told, grow up. Stop crying. Right?
Yes.
And we learned very quickly how to operate in this world of separation so that we don't get hurt and we get the love that we need. And when you make a decision to start living authentically and to stop betraying yourself, our whole life here in this world is self-betrayal. That we are betraying ourselves every step of the way. And that's a defense. And when I defend myself, I'm attacked, and that's why we get sick. That's why we experience pain. And so when she was saying, I feel sad, now that's not her true self. Your true self is eternal, changeless, joy, light, life. It's not any emotion. But that is a very powerful process to release the block so that you can remember what you really are. And I know a lot of spiritual people just want to bypass it all. Like I just am so grateful for the healers and the teachers and the therapists who are working with others, like you, Monica, and Kelly, and who here is a healer who's declaring, yes, yes. We've got very powerful healers in this room. And you know when you start working with people that, and Jesus talks about this in the psychotherapy booklet, is you have to meet people where they think they are. You really need to just come to that place. And first, before you reach that place when you can start to help others, you allow yourself to go through it. So the ego's #1 tactic, in my mind, for continual self-betrayal is to project out onto other people. So that's why in the 40-day program we have a practice where we invite everyone to not tell a story for 40 days. And people think that that's like a rule. Like, oh, I'm never supposed to tell my story. That is not what this is about. It's a way that you can become conscious for what has been unconscious all this time. So what we do is because we're so afraid to look at the fear, we're so afraid to be authentic because we all have evidence that is scary territory, right? When you are creative and expressive and authentic and free and spontaneous, that is dangerous territory, right? And we all got in trouble for it. We all got sent to the principal's office for it, right? We all did. We all got in trouble for it. And so you learn, you especially. How long did you go to the principal's office?
My entire 6th grade year.
That's funny. And so you come to this place where you suddenly are like, I can't hide anymore. I really cannot keep this wall up anymore. And this, in my mind, is why we feel heavy, why we get tired, why we get depressed. It's because the light, it wants to come out. It is just light flows. Light is meant to extend. It can't be contained, and we, as humans, contain it. That's what we do. We're like, all right, and I'm just not going to let the love shine through because don't talk to strangers. We were taught these stupid rules, right? And so there's so much in all of us that just wants to love. We want to be there, we want to comfort, we want to serve, and yet that false self goes, don't push it too far. And then suddenly you start to feel a pain. Then you're out of balance. You're no longer centered in the love that you are. And so now this is the journey back. And the reason I have dedicated my life to God and to this teaching and to Jesus is because I, for myself, needed process. That's how it worked for me. I know that there's many paths to God, and you can absolutely have a spontaneous awakening. I know it. There are individuals in time that it has occurred. But as I look at those individuals who have had that spontaneous awakening, they have all fallen back into doubt. They have all fallen back into the old thought system because it's so deep in us. It's so much a part of the structure. Even Anita Murjani, I've talked about her. She had a full-blown awakening where she went into the light. She saw the whole thing. She saw this as a complete illusion. She saw the body's not real. She saw sickness is not real. And she was healed completely like that, instantly. She had been trying everything, special diets. Her whole body had failed her. She was in a wheelchair, tumors through her entire body. Healed instantly. And her body was so weak that when she came back from being, here it tracked her as flatlining and dead, but she knew you can't die. Like she was free from the body. She talked to her dad. She saw everything. She saw we're all connected. She saw all the people that were praying for her around the world. She saw her brother in Japan. She saw everything. She was literally connected with everyone and everything. And then she needed to make a decision. They pretty much said, we want you to go back now and tell people what you know. And she was like, no, not that body. And she knew, because she knew the truth, that body was not going to be sick anymore. And she landed back in the body. It took 3 days for her to, she knew instantly she was totally healed, but the doctors didn't test her for 3 days. And when they tested her, there was no sign of tumors, cancer, nothing, gone. And later, she started expressing her story on near-death experience websites, and she started to get attacked. And she just said, this is too hard. People attacking her for what she was saying, telling her she's lying, she's not saying it right. That's what you will get when you start expressing the truth of what you are. You can expect to be attacked. People here do not want the light. And she just saw it, and the more that she was in the body, in the world, the more she started to doubt that even happened. Do you guys know her story, that part of it? Yeah. And it was a very obscure little interview that's not one. She has a lot of famous interviews, and I happened to stumble upon this one day, and I was like, oh my God. And she tells a story that she thought, oh, maybe I wasn't that sick. Seriously. But that's exactly what happens. The density of being here in this world makes you start to doubt everything. You have full-blown experience of the freedom and the joy and the light that you are, and then you're like, no, it was just like a moment. And you go right back into struggling and pain and stories. And because the attacks she was getting from posting, and she was literally just expressing her true authentic self. She was being real. She was saying it hurt, it was this, I was sad, I was this. She wasn't expressing from the highest, right? And you get attacked for that. People say, well, that's not A Course in Miracles, and well, you're teaching this. In my mind, be yourself. Be totally your true authentic self and just let things fly. Let things come out of hiding. And she made a decision, I'm going to go just get a regular job and I'm not going to talk about that experience ever again. That's what she did. And a friend was like, are you crazy? You have to tell people what happened to you. You have to tell people what you saw. And she's like, no, I'm done. I'm not teaching anymore. And the friend said, please, I have this women's group. I just want you to come and just teach. And she made a decision, okay, I will. And it was that night she went and she just told her story. Simply just told what she saw. And when she got home, there was a message from Wayne Dyer, who had seen her near-death experience on a website and said, I'd like to publish you with Hay House. And now her whole life is about this. But my point of the story is that you really have to have this confidence and this trust now in the experiences that you are having. You are having real experiences, each and every one of you. You have had this experience of freedom. And now what you're doing is you're allowed, so not everyone has the dramatic, 3-second healing of the total, tumor's gone. So the reason I love A Course in Miracles is because it gives us that same experience in a step-by-step systematic way where you get to undo the armature. You get to see your blocks, you get to see your defenses, you get to see the false self becomes conscious, and now you can make a decision. And now you can say, which world am I going to live in now? Am I going to identify with the Christ or with this little story that I keep telling? So it says, the body is in need of no defense. This cannot be too often emphasized. And I love this because people think, well, A Course in Miracles doesn't talk about healing. It doesn't talk about the body changing. Oh, yes, it does. It will be strong and healthy if the mind does not abuse it by assigning it to roles it cannot fill, to purposes beyond its scope, and to exalted aims which it cannot accomplish. Such attempts, ridiculous yet deeply cherished, are the sources for the many mad attacks you make upon it, for it seems to fail your hopes, your needs, your values, and your dreams. The self that needs protection is not real. The self that needs protection is not real. The body, valueless and hardly worth the least defense, need merely be perceived as quite apart from you. I love that because the body is part of the external world. It's not you. It's literally outside of the self that you are, and it cannot contain what you are. So the body need only be perceived as quite apart from you, and it becomes a healthy, serviceable instrument through which the mind can operate until its usefulness is over. Who would want to keep it when its usefulness is done? So I'm just going to, it talks about the thoughts that you think about yourself as a separate body identity. These are the thoughts in need of healing, and the body will respond with health when they have been corrected and replaced with truth. And this is the reason why, as a teacher, why I want to hear where you think you are. I don't want to hear just, I'm whole and perfect. That's the truth of you for sure. But that's not where we start. Like I want to, when someone says, I'm sad, yay. to me, that can be worked with. That's something that it's like, all right, let's just hear where you have located yourself. Let's just like, to me, that's any, like, AA is a beautiful program because it doesn't just bypass. It really goes right in and has you list step by step, you know, all your grievances, your resentments, your fears, your upsets. And then now you can really look at them and take responsibility for them and release them. So instead of projecting out and keep saying, okay, I'm upset because of this person over here, now you're using the situation to see what you could not see. Like somebody posted on a 40-day a couple days ago. She's on like day 5, and she posted this forgiveness process that's helpful to her, and it was good until it got to like the last one, and I was like, okay, how do I handle this one? So it's basically like, make a list of the things that are upsetting you and the people and all of that. And then when she got to the last one, it was to acknowledge they don't know what they're doing, so I forgive you. So I said, well, that's not quite how we do it in here. And to me, what you want to do is, if you have a grievance with someone, you have an upset with someone, you pause, be still, see the upset, and then what you do is anything that you think that they're doing or that they need to change, that's the message to yourself. That's how I do it. Like this is, Jesus says, your brother's your savior. Your brother is a mirror for you. So she was saying, like, in another group, someone was saying, well, this woman, this coworker, is saying that other people are saying she's a liar and she's this and she's that and she's this. I don't like it. I don't like she's saying this. If it's causing a charge in you, that's a place that's unhealed. Because otherwise, who cares if someone's lying? Like, if it's healed in you, you will just allow, it'll be like, okay, that person's just lying. I see it. It's okay. It doesn't bother me. But if it bothers me, then something in me is lying. That's how I do it. That's how I do it. Forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did never occurred. So everything that you think other people are doing to you or that they need to do differently, if it's causing a charge in you, that is the greatest gift. Because now you get to see what you previously could not see. And now you can look at it. So now, instead of projecting all your guilt out there, creating a story about it, because the ego doesn't want you to look at the fear. It doesn't want you to look within. It wants you to keep looking out and blaming and criticizing and judging. And when you make a decision, I'm doing the work now, then that's when everything starts flying. And as we know here, when that starts to happen, relationships fall apart, just the whole structure that you've created begins to crumble. And so he talks in here, he says, the mind that plans is thus refusing to allow for change. Are you in the new, which one are you in now? Is it this one? Yeah, it's page 1211. The mind that plans is thus refusing to allow for change. What it has learned before becomes the basis for its future goals. Its past experience directs its choice for what will happen, and it does not see that here and now is everything it needs to guarantee a future quite unlike the past, without a continuity of old ideas and sick beliefs. Anticipation plays no part at all, and present confidence directs the way. So now you are one with the light. You are this light now, and you are not stepping in front of it anymore. To me, that's the collaboration that is being asked of each of us as miracle workers, is that this is what it means to work with the Father. You're working with the light. You're acknowledging, I of my own self can do nothing. But the light, it knows what to do. It will tell you. It will literally speak to you. And you will know exactly what to do in every situation. You'll know to say or not to say, what to do or not to do. And so you're stepping back. As you step back, the light in you steps forward and encompasses the world. And so without any containment on your part now, the light goes out and it literally reaches every mind in time. And you're now really talking to it. You're saying, okay, wow, bring me anybody that can be helpful, or that needs my help, or that I need their help. And you literally need do nothing, because the light is doing the work. And you're now just there with your eyes wide open, seeing what unfolds next. It's like, okay, there's my next step. And I always talk about, too, watch out for doors closing. Because I think that's a big one with people. Like, we see things falling apart, and the false self wants to push through. Like, if you're efforting and you're struggling, and that is a false self. Because the light doesn't struggle. The light doesn't need to. The light knows it has everything already. And so now it's a total place of rest and relaxation now. As I'd like to hear from actually some of you guys right now, like your experience of being one with that light, even as you're talking. I'd like to hear, like, what is that experience for you? Nancy. Hey, Bill. Nancy first. Right here.
I'm sorry. Where?
And you're next, Laura.
Who's first?
Nancy's first, and then you, Laura.
This isn't quite as I was talking, but it was as I was listening to Bill a couple weeks ago, when he had just gotten back from he and several others had just gotten back from the Rupert Spira seminar, and he talked about that experience. And then he took us all as a group on a meditation, which it felt to me was just in a spaceship, all of us up there together off somewhere else. And I don't know how long it lasted, but it seemed like 25 minutes or something like that. And when we came back and he was still talking, he was commenting on the experience and the pulling both of those things together. And I looked at him and I thought, you have grown so much in the 3 years that I have been in this group. It's such a clear marker for me, so I know the time period, and I know virtually everybody who's still sitting here has grown immensely, and that I see it in them. And then immediately, without, I heard a voice that said, that means you have too, Nancy.
Yeah.
And I can't hardly even tell it now again. I spent the next 20 minutes sitting here in tears, and it was because that mirror this time was the positive coming back, not just learning what I still need to pay attention to, except to claim it.
I love it. Thank you. That is true. Like what you just described is now, you just described the positive element of using your brother as the mirror. So whatever you think about someone else is literally the message that we're getting. When you think of somebody else as that you are you are so lovely. That we so often don't accept it for ourselves. I'm lovely. And when you heard that, I love it. And it does cause tears, because it is like that armor is dissolving, and it causes, in my experience, a physical. You can shake sometimes. You can. Thank you.
Hey, Lisa. I think like last night I was
with one of my new sponsees. I have quite a few of them in AA. And we were outside reading, and you could feel the energy. I could feel the energy because she just went through another crazy relationship. Like, she's 23 years sober, and I was 21 years sober before I did the work of clearing out my light, the Big Book Step Study, and then that led me here. And I just said, where are you right now? And I said, understand one thing that I've learned through all this and through Course in Miracles and through Abraham Hicks and Byron Katie. It's not about growing towards your light or evolving towards your light. Your light was there when you popped out of your mother. That's your light you came here with. That doesn't change. I have to keep learning. I have to keep mind training myself to not go to the darker side of myself. But I said, till I cleaned that light out, it was blocked. Till I removed the blocks, I can pray till the cows come home. And I'm not going to get any better. I will for a little bit, like you said, and I'll slide back. In AA, you're forced to do this work of clearing out your resentments, your fears, looking at your sex inventory, looking at everything, and voila. As you're doing it, it's painful, and you're saying, this isn't working for me. Every person that I've sponsored and I said the same thing, this doesn't work for me. And once I did it, there's the light. It isn't like, oh, I got the light now because I did the work. No, the light was there. It was blocked. So when I see that someone has changed after they've, done certain things, it's not that they're growing towards the light or evolving. They are the light. They've taken some blocks away. Your 40-day thing is to remove the blocks. It's not that anyone's looking to get a light. You're already the light.
Yeah.
You can't not be the light. It's impossible.
Yeah.
You're just either a blocked light or you're a light. You know what I mean? And that's where, when I'm not hooking, when I see in someone else, like one of my children is a mirror of my chaotic addiction from when I was in my 20s. I can see it. And it sets me like, oh my God, I made another one that's just like me. And I can look at that and say, I love you, you're a light of the world, but this is your movie. You get your own t-shirt, I got my own, I'm not gonna go to that movie anymore. And I can just love someone today. Like you said, if I go to that fight or I go to that thing or I try to fix that person, I need to fix inside of me why I think I need to fix someone. They have to unblock their own light their own way. But for me, it's about me constantly doing mind training to keep my light and channel open, because I did a shit ton of work to get that light open. And that's, and I have people that want what I have, and then I tell them what they have to do, and they're like, well, I don't really want to write for a year. I don't really want to do that.
Well, I want to just read, I love that, Laura, and I just want to read something before, Shirley, you're next. I think you had your hand up. What you just said is so great, because it says, so this is a lesson that says, what could you not accept if you but knew that everything that happens, all events, past, present, and to come, are gently planned by one whose only purpose is your good. And what I wanted to read is about people wanting what you want. It says, without defenses, you become a light which heaven gratefully acknowledges as its own, and it will lead you on its ways appointed for your happiness according to the ancient plan begun when time was born. Your followers, you all have followers. Why? Because there's nothing outside of you. Does that make sense? You have followers because there's nothing outside of you. All the people in all the world are your own projections. They are your own creations. And without your defenses, you become the light which you always were but did not see. Jesus says that he's going to open the eyes of the blind. He's opening our eyes now so that we can see and remember the light we are. Your followers, your projections, these people are not separate. They are you. And we have been keeping them all in bondage with our own defenses, our own stories, our own identifying with the self-image that we made to protect ourselves. Your followers will join their light with yours, and it will be increased until the world is lighted up with joy. And gladly, will our brothers lay aside their cumbersome defenses. This is why we need do nothing. They're just out there right now laying their stuff down. I will never meet them. You'll never meet them. But because the light that is in my mind is contained in every mind, and that I now say, okay, I am identifying with the joy I am. That joy is lighting up their mind out there while they're sleeping, while they're in Japan. And so now you're really seeing my function is happiness. Because it's that one mind that we share. There's people out there in the world, they have no idea why they just found a book, or why they heard a song differently, or why they found a healer, or why they found a teacher. Because of you. Because of your joy. We will anticipate that time today with present confidence, for this is part of what is planned for us. We can be sure that everything we need is given us for our accomplishment of this today. We make no plans for how it will be done, but realize that our defenselessness is all that is required for the truth to dawn upon our minds with certainty. So, thank you. Shirley?
I just wanted to say that I was at that meeting that Nancy was talking about, that Bill shared, that meditation, and I went to that place also, and it was very powerful about being in that pure awareness. And I think I asked a question about, is that pure consciousness? And it's all the same. It's all the same. And every time I go to a Course in Miracles meeting, I'm there with those people, all the people. I can feel their light. I can feel that that's exactly where I'm supposed to be on Sunday morning.
Yep.
If I go to Vicky Poppy's, of course, she is, I can see her light. I mean, she has the face of Christ on, you know. She has that joy and that peace.
You do.
Love.
I was just thinking this, but that's what I mean. Like, whatever we're saying about someone else, this is the fun part about mind training, is that I just thought when you pointed at her, I thought the same thing, because that's what Nancy was saying. Whatever we're thinking about someone else is literally what is for us. And you are always shining the light of Christ, and you are always beaming it. Yeah, Shirley the Christ. John.
Hi, Lisa. I just wanted to kind of bring light on the idea that putting up the defenses, you know, putting up the armor, as much as that bottles you up and holds you in, it also strengthens your ability to put energy on those areas once you let them down. Because there's a strength that comes out behind it that I think is worthy of noting in people too. That
Can you give me an example?
well, I don't know. Just when you think, lots of personal examples. You know, I guess the strength of watching myself defend my own unworthiness, you know, in past relationships, and then coming back to a place where that would be, there was no way I would ever do that again. It has a certain strength behind it. But I think the strength comes from first having defended it and walling it up and dropping down into a place that isn't worthy.
Well, the strength comes from the thing that's watching. So the strength doesn't come from the defense, but in your stillnessness and in your willingness to allow that all to be undone, the strength is the light. So it's not in the defense, but you're right. Like when you finally can see it, you finally, because the defense itself has no power. Like
it's the strength that built the defense that also can build the.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
And I think also through that comes boundaries that help you hold your own integrity in being the light.
Yeah, to me, it really comes to the place, like with boundaries, as I've noticed, it is every single moment, and you know this, is you're really listening. I used to have lots of boundaries. Like there's too many people asking for me to do things, but every single moment, I'm so just going, okay, I'm letting all that go. Because
Yes.
I literally don't know.
Because you trust in God and
Exactly.
you trust in the path
Yep.
that.
And so I
which
find
is where the strength is.
Exactly, and I find myself
Exactly.
doing all sorts of things. Like I used to say, I won't call people back, or I won't do private coaching, or I won't do this, or I don't do this, and I don't. These are all my plans for my safety. And
Yes.
with all of them gone, this morning the phone rang. I don't answer the telephone, most of you guys know. I just think it's going to take up a lot of my time. I'm busy with other things. Well, what other things? Like if it's I'm the Christ, and there's no future and there's no past, and it was like 10 to 9, I'm totally not showered, it takes 40 minutes to get here, I'm the teacher, and the phone rings. And I know who it is, and I know it's probably going to take a while on the call, but it was within under a second, under an instant, answer the call. And I took it, we stayed on the call for, I don't know, 20 minutes. It was awesome. It was Paulie G. You guys know Paulie G?
Yeah.
He's going to come back in October, I think, and I love that guy. Like, he's just one of the best teachers, and I don't know, like, you suddenly can see that it's like all the rules and the boundaries and the things that we thought we were doing go right out the window. And but then there are moments when I will in the present moment, though, it doesn't come from a past idea. In the present moment, somebody will ask me to do something, and I will just get so clearly no.
Exactly.
I will. Can I come here? Will you do this for me? No. So, is that a boundary? To me, that's not a boundary. To me, that's listening. To me, that's really being present in the moment, and it's a whole new way for me to live, because I'm classic for boundaries. But yes, thank you. Did you have your hand up, Monica? Monica's next.
So I really love the idea that we all have that ability to just kind of extend and be in that light all the time, because it is what we are and it has no end. And a lot of what we do is defend from that, because it's so exquisite. It's so personal, and it's so like powerful. It shifts all of your perception about who you are and how you feel about people. Like, it's so exquisite. It's like you're always falling in love.
Yes.
You know, and it's not about what happened last week. It's right now.
Yeah.
So I love that you read that whole thing. It's really such an important part of the course, that we get to really see that every time we judge or hold ourselves apart, it's because we're so afraid of the love. You know, we really are exquisite, and we really are totally joined with everyone and everything. And sometimes it's like, what do I do with all this love? You know, it's really extraordinary. So that's what we're afraid of. That's the last obstacle to peace, is the fear of the love of God. You know that's who you are. It's so hard to admit it, though. Like, you see it in others because you don't want to say, oh, it's in me.
Yep, exactly.
But it is. And when you accept that, just look out. Like, everything just opens up, and it's so exciting and fun. It's like, I did a little video this morning on there's nothing my holiness cannot do. If you really accept that, it's really true. There's nothing in your life that cannot be healed because of you. So thank you.
I love that. Thank you. So for you guys watching, that's Monica Dubé, if you want to see that video. And and Bill's next. And I love that too, because that was lesson 38, is it? Because that's amazing. You're connecting now with your own holiness. And there's nothing my holiness cannot do. And again, that's the idea of like, it does the work, not me. I'm just allowing it. I'm not blocking it anymore.
I just want to pick up on the thread that John was mentioning. I like the idea that the power that initiated the defense is used or is understood to be the power that actually undoes it. It really has to be recognized by an awakened mind, because otherwise it's the unconscious self that defends itself, and it's the power of awareness that recognizes that occurring. And then it's also the power of awareness, it's the awakened mind that will recognize the next thought that's going to come in and make you guilty for the experience. So it's really it's the whole connection of the awakened, the aware, the unconscious, or the conscious mind, or the awakened self that self-realizes and is able to use the power that was being used to be asleep, to defend yourself, or to attack someone else. Now that power is being reversed, and the power is being used to undo and be the power and the presence of the self that saw that is aware of the experience. So thank you for that part of it, John. I just wanted to, because it's so fast. I don't know, when you're in a thing, and you and I have had this happen, and I've called myself to the mark several times when I'm having a conversation with you, and all of a sudden the unconscious mind slips in with an attitude, a remark, and I'm asleep to that thing coming in. And all of a sudden we're off to the rodeo. Or I'm awake. I'm awake to the thing that's going on, and you'll remember that time at the camper when I suddenly got an attitude, and I said, "Did you see that slip right in there?"
And I was like, "Yeah, I saw it."
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw that.
So anyway, I just wanted to mention that the mind is very quick to want to pick up the story or the event or the energy or the emotion, instead of dissolving it as awareness, pick it back up as a thread and say, no, let's go back into that arena and do that some more. Yeah.
And I just want to say too, you can't do this by yourself. You can't. You cannot undo your own thought system of fear by yourself. And so once you know that, we have not talked about it a lot, but Bill and I went through a lot of bad stuff last fall, and we almost got divorced. And I'm just going to say that. It was this, and we are so deeply involved in A Course in Miracles, and we were taking responsibility, and that ego thought system, it just was there. And so even in myself, I'm just like, why am I doing the things I don't want to do? That's what you said last week, Bill, from Paul. Why do I do the things I don't want to do, and why am I doing the things, and I don't do the things I do want to do? And we saw we cannot do this alone. We were teaching to each other. We were doing that Course in Miracles things that people do with each other. You need to read lesson blah blah blah, and you need to take responsibility, and you're doing this, and we called in David Tompkinson, who is one of the best relationship therapists I have ever seen, and we hired him for 12 weeks. And thank you, David, with all my heart, because it's when okay, I have a problem here. That is a huge, powerful first step. Okay, wow, I'm insane. and so that's like a good first step. And it's good when you have like a partner, and not everyone has a partner who's doing the same kind of work. But we went right down that rabbit hole. It was bad. That would have made a really good Course in Miracles reality show. Hidden cameras in our home. And we brought David Tompkinson in, and we said, okay, we're going to, 12 weeks, we're in. And we went down, it was like a non-Course in Miracles route. And to me, that's why I love all doctors, healers, therapists, because you don't know how to get out of your own thought system by yourself. That's all I know. You made it, and you need help. And you call on the help of whatever's in front of you. It was actually Bill who had the thought to call David. That was in Denmark, and Bill had this thought, David Tompkinson. And then he said he was going to do it by himself. Because at first I'm like, I don't need it.
That's how you do, right? You say that.
But then, you know, the beauty is like you get to go, that was an awful fast response. And then you sit so still in it, like, okay, wow, why am I resisting? Like the ego doesn't want you to do the work. It wants you to figure it out by yourself.
It wants to die with you.
It what?
It wants to die with you.
It does, and it wants you to die with it, yeah. And so it's this place where you just are so willing to just let go of all that you think you know about everything. So thank you, because it's a completely new space with Bill and I since that. And we've thought about talking about it before. There's literally nothing to talk about. It was such a miracle, the change that occurred and the new space that was present for us. It was like when we went to Easter, we were going to talk about it, and we were going to just say, here's what we went through, and here's what. And we were having dinner one night, and we were like, there's nothing to say. And that's the miracle that happens. It's like the whole chunk of fear washes, it literally breaks off like an ice thing and just floats right away. And then you go, I don't even remember how we used to live like that. And that's, I love what you said, Monica, because it's like every single moment now, please acknowledge that the space is completely brand new. Yeah, we're running to the end of our time, but can we go a little bit over?
It's your show.
It's my show. The answer is yes. I see Irene and Kelly.
I was just channel the light for them. Somehow I'm able to do that in a way for them that I haven't been able to do for myself. And so when I am able to do that for them, and I say, really? Like they sit down and I say, really? They're talking about this? Like another person that has my same exact issue out of 100 million issues. I'm able to then feel it for myself. So it's when the healing comes through me for them, then it's reflected back from them to me, and then I can be healed too.
So you should pay them.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I love when you said there's nothing to say about it. You did say what you needed to say about it. You both brought willingness, the willingness to see it differently. Isn't that what the Course teaches forgiveness is? The willingness to stories. The stories was just proving the familiar. You know, you said it all. That's why it felt complete. It was complete. It was totally complete. And the gift that you gave each other was the gift of willingness. And I think that's the gift we're all asked to give constantly, the gift of willingness, right?
Yes. Yep.
Great to hear you this morning.
Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for being here. So I'm just going to close with this one final part here from lesson 135. It says, so I just invite you today to do this lesson, this practice, okay? It's lesson 135 for you guys watching. It's in A Course in Miracles. For 15 minutes twice today, we rest from senseless planning and from every thought which blocks the truth from entering our mind. Today, I love this, we receive instead of plan, that we may give instead of organize. And we are given truly as we say, if I defend myself, I am attacked. But in defenselessness, I will be strong. And I will learn what my defenses hide. And so that's how I started. Like, you're going to find out how you've been betraying yourself. You're going to see the false self now. And you're going to make a decision to not betray yourself anymore. Like, you make a decision to be the light that you are. Let it be messy. Let it be spontaneous. Let it be expressive. Let that be your commitment. Let yourself do things that scare you a little bit or a lot. And you will see what your defenses are. You will see immediately the voice that says, no, don't. You will see how you stop yourself. You will see how you stay in littleness. And now you're resting. You're resting in this place. And it says, nothing but this, if there are plans to make, you will be told of them. They may not be the plans you thought you needed, nor indeed the answers to the problems which you thought confronted you. But they are answers to another kind of question which remains unanswered, yet in need of answering until the answer comes to you at last. And it says, the final acknowledgement, this is my Easter time, and I would keep it holy. I will not defend myself, because the Son of God needs no defense against the truth of his reality. Amen. So if you can all join me in a closing prayer. Thank you guys for being here. Shay's in the house. Hey Shay, do you pray? Do you do prayers? No, okay. John?
Get him in a circle.
Spider-Man. So thank you guys for coming, and thank you live streamers, and we invite you to donate and be generous, and it helps us pay for the space, helps us pay for the camera, the live stream. There's a box in the back there, and there's a donate button online, and we acknowledge our giving with the unity prayer, divine love, as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Okay, so our closing prayer, just take a moment. In stillness, turn your attention inward to the light. This light can never die, and it is so holy that the world is sanctified. This light is what you are. This is the light of God. This is the healer. This light is life. It is your passion. It is your spontaneity. It is your full expression. And now we let it lead the way. We become one with this light. This light is what we are. And now we follow. We follow this light. We listen to this light. We are listening to the Father within. This is God. This is love. And we don't have to worry about what to say or what to do, because the light leads us. And we are here only to be truly helpful. We are God's miracle workers. We are here to comfort, to heal, and to bless. We use our lives only for this purpose, and to remove the blocks and the obstacles that are there. And we see that light abolishes darkness. And we have the willingness to go through it, to allow things to shift, to allow them to change. And we keep this day holy as our holiness blesses the world. Amen.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna
Let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine.